Eddie, we're just recording this really quick since there's a few things that we want to kind of go over with the George R. R. Martin Hollywood Reporter deal. Uh, let's kind of skip to the important bits, shall we? All right. So, okay. Okay. Didn't want to be a wonder how. Okay.
Yeah, there's
Which one?
basically 3 points, as I remember.
Yeah, there are a couple of there was like one really interesting story point, and there was also one really interesting, sort of like meta point, like production point, because apparently he went in on the House of the Dragon show writers.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's
He clearly hates them more than D&D, which is very surprising because
yeah.
I would say that Game of Thrones is of significantly lower quality than House of the Dragon. But then again, House of the Dragon, like it seems as though, like for better or worse, they followed his outline better, and that's why he isn't as mad at them.
Yeah, I mean, like I mean, there's levels to this. I mean, I think that, I mean, they're also, I mean, I've never hidden the fact that I'm not a huge fan of the Dance of the Dragons as a story. I think it's some of his weaker material. So, like, he's probably also like peeved that someone is doing something better because it is better. I mean, not that it is better. I believe me, I'm very clear. But even the idea that his work isn't the best is probably peeving to him, which is, his problem.
Partially, it seems like his main, based on what he has said, is that he hates the fact that like they're doing, like the main thing that they were irritated by is the cutting out of Maelor and how that affects Helena. Helena is a nobody.
Sure, but that's like so like pedantic.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like getting. I don't know. That's like getting mad that you cut out like Filch and Harry Potter in later movies. Like, come on.
And I know, but that seems to be his pet peeve. Like he
well,
seems.
To be fair, I believe it's been said that he was going to produce a whole bunch of other blog posts, and somebody said, somebody who was talking to him said that was like the smallest of his objections. Like he had a whole bunch of other things he could have said, and so maybe he was just meant as an opening salvo kind of thing, and he was going to get to the really bad stuff later, maybe. So because getting rid of Maelor does not seem like that big a deal.
Then he's being passive aggressive. Like he's being a passive aggressive baby.
Yeah, possibly.
I found the bit that's like apparently is like this bit, like it's worse than Rocky, like looking miserable, which is poor guy. It's abysmal.
It's abysmal. I think some of it might even just come down to whether who he gets along with better. David Benioff. He talks in this kind of warm voice and stuff. Maybe he was just more pleasant. What's his name? Ryan Condal does not have a very pleasant speaking voice. He's got this American monotone thing going on, and so maybe he just doesn't like Ryan Condal he just doesn't like Ryan Condal as a person.
I mean, that's possible. I think that would be, I guess that'd be kind of okay, or at least it kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know. This is
because like let's kind of look at this, because it says he hired Ryan, but they were partners. They were doing really well for the first season. He read early draft of the scripts, give notes, he would change things. It's working really well, and then apparently there was some loggerhead problems with Miguel Sapochnik. Ryan asked for Martin's support on the issue, got it. Then when he got to season 2, it basically stopped listening to me give notes, nothing would happen. Sometimes he would explain why he was to do it. Other times he would tell me, oh, okay, yeah, I'll think about it. It got worse and worse, and I began to get more and more annoyed. I only got to the point where I was told by HBO I should submit all their notes to them, and they would give Ryan our combined notes.
Meaning
This it kind of seems like Preston is correct when he says that George seems to be mad at Ryan because he's not doing what he says in terms of adapting his baby.
I mean, fine, but like,
oh, I think it's petty, and yeah, Fire and Blood is bad source material. Like, it's really, really bad.
Yeah,
stuff in the large section, especially the dance, where it just makes no sense.
It's not very good. It's not very good. Yeah, it's not top drawer Martin by any manner of means. No. It's interesting the bit about Sapochnik, because if not to be too cynical, but I'm almost inclined to wonder, did Ryan Condal, was this a power thing, or Ryan Condal wanted to get rid of Sapochnik because then he would have the power, and then once he got rid of Sapochnik, he didn't need Martin anymore. So
possibly, I do know that Sapochnik was asking for his wife / girlfriend to have like producer credits or something like that, and they were like, heck no. That's my understanding of what the Loggerheads issue was.
That's fair. I mean, that's,
yeah.
If she doesn't warn it, period. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like she was just a minor part in season 1, and then she just vanishes, which fair enough. And then Kennedy just says, see, after it, while it was airing, he just wrote the Blair the Butterflies, and then an upset HBO exec called him, who then took down the post, but not before many entertainment sites. I would have put it back up. It looked like 80% of his praise, but well, it kind of doesn't matter. It's like they're going to pick up on the I don't like this, and it seems like so. And like I said, he's mad that Ryan Condal is changing his story and detailed all his objections and allegedly declared this is not my story any longer. So that seems to be the main thing problem here. Like,
he is simply peeved that the story isn't his, mm-hmm. Right? And again, we say that's ego, but like it's understandable to an extent, but mostly it's petty.
Yeah. I think also and it kind of just indicates, well, he never did this with David Benioff and D.B. Weiss.
I have to imagine it's one of two things. I guess I would guess that either one, it's that he sees how he didn't do it. He thinks that because he didn't do it last time, that's what let the catastrophe occur, right?
Mm-hmm. So
he's just he's not he's kind of like trying to correct his mistake from last time. Or, and this is the far more alarming thing, is that he liked what Dan and Dave put out. Which would be kind of nuts.
Yeah, it could just be that they were pretty accurate to him. They were incompetently doing what he wanted them to do, but they were doing what he wanted them to do.
Yeah, this is where there are two criticisms. There are two valid criticisms of what was going on in the show, right? It's there was what was being done, and there was how it was being done. And how it was being done was unquestionably poor. What was being done, though, I didn't like, but I could see how this would be the intention, right? I could see the logic of it.
Mm-hmm.
And worse than that, I could see how this would be what Martin was going for, because the whole problem with the books is that Martin is, or the greatness and the problem with the books is that Martin is walking the line of like just falling into like severe, what I would call moral nihilism, just like complete 90s edgelord dreck. Sort of like buoyed by like what I guess I would call boomer liberalism.
That's accurate.
He's not unlike Lucas, like in this regard. Like, and there was actually a very entertaining post comparing him to Lucas, in the sense that like Lucas is like what Tolkien would be, and like I no one said this, but here's what I would say, right? Because that made me start thinking. Tolkien, like Lucas is kind of like, what if someone tried to write Tolkien but was like a boomer hippie mid-century liberal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Martin is like, what if that same boomer hippie liberal tried to hate Tolkien? Because Star Wars has many faults. Star Wars at least has like a core, like a moral core to it that's not pure, that's not nihilistic. It's just kind of naive and very, again, very boomer.
Dumb.
Yeah,
very dumb.
Very boomer. Yeah, sure. It's yes. Yes, we know boomers are dumb about politics. Yes.
Now would probably not be a good time to tell you that I'm a boomer.
I'm teasing. Well, I'm teasing a little bit, but it's very like what we would recognize as boomer liberal. And I know, but like it is like that's what Star Wars is, right? But because it has like a moral core to it, it sort of like
it stands the test of time a little bit better.
Yeah, it coheres around it. At least coheres in some sort of like resonant way, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas Martin is like, he's threatening to dip into like pure edgelord nihilism, and it's extraordinarily treacherous.
Yeah. The one exception being is that he seems to be kind of pulling back with Dance, at least a little bit, from the nihilism to a certain extent.
You're talking about A Dance with Dragons from the fifth book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would argue that like he could thread this needle. Like that's like the worst part of this is that these books could be like truly great, but he has to actually commit to a moral vision. And he doesn't have to like commit to like Tolkien's Catholicism or George Lucas's, liberation idealism. He just has to do something like just anything that's not things suck. Now, I think King Bran is repugnant, but that's because I think that is sort of like the
God King surveillance state.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's horrible. But that would at least be something coherent, like because he could just do like I don't know, like he could have it be that the Lannisters win it all, or I don't know, but that doesn't make sense. I've been listening to I said this before, right? Like Martin's like probably the most interesting thing about what Martin shows is that he's showing how like the bad people can't rule either. And I've been listening to a series on Shakespeare, and this guy's amazing. But I've listened into a series of lectures on Shakespeare, and he, in the King Lear section, he talks about one of the things that makes King Lear the play tragic but not bleak is that the villains of the play, Goneril, Regan, and Goneril and Regan and Edmund and the other guy, they also can't like produce a society together, right? They also, like the world can't accommodate the goodness of Lear and Cordelia, but they also can't tolerate the evil of the villains. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what's happening, and it's kind of what's happening in A Song of Ice and Fire, because they can't, because the Lannisters are insufferable. Mm-hmm. But it requires like he has to actually follow through on these things.
Yeah, there's an element of, at least in Dance with Dragons, that the good guys are kind of clawing their way back because of the legacy of Ned Stark.
Absolutely.
That's the main thing that seems to be happening.
Well, it's also John and Danny trying to learn how to rule and be good, both rule and keep to their ideals and rule.
They kind of find out that no, they can't, is kind of the thing that I'm seeing from John and Danny. Is that would you agree with that?
John, I don't know. They both have their problems ruling. I think Danny was a little more successful than John. I think she was a little more successful because she listens to advisors more, and John just sort of got a little arrogant and was like, I don't need to listen to anybody. I don't need to.
I think that I almost hate talking about Daenerys because my problems with her are structural more than they are like with like her, like the character. But like is she better than John? That's a hard question. I don't know that I guess she's dealing with a harder situation than John in some ways, but
yeah,
it's so difficult because her antagonist, and this is the thing, like just to like if there was something that like just a problem, her antagonists are horrendous. They're terrible.
Well, she easily mows through them, or they're grace.
Yeah, they have no character. There's nothing to them, right? They're terrible characters. As to like A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons, and I don't like we fall into this trap of considering them to be one book, and I think that's like does them a disservice in a lot of ways, but they are like coherently one story, and they are. I am a huge proponent of. I am. Let me phrase it. I am like probably the only person in the world who actually thinks the 5-year gap would have been a huge mistake. I like that the story goes through A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons. Mm-hmm. But what those two stories are about is they're about like they're kind of like about like false peace, and this is where, because like the whole like the very one of the interesting things in this story is that it is the villains, and the villains being the Lannisters, but also other, and this is actually very true. A lot of the villains. The villains are the characters who want things to stop, right? They're actually not antagonists in the sense that they are not like antagonizing the story, right? The Lannisters want everyone to stop fighting and to leave them alone and let them just rule. And this is also kind of true in Marine. It's true in it permeates layers of the story, right? Like Dorne is not, Dorne isn't part of the they're plotting their own thing. Doran's whole thing is that his semblance of peace is a facade, right? Same thing in Slaver's Bay. Same thing, the openly belligerent antagonist is of course Euron, and he's a maniac. And then you have Roose Bolton. What's Roose Bolton trying to do? Roose Bolton is trying to impose like a fall. He's trying to like truth and falsehood run they run like a golden rod through this story, right? It's one of the best ways I think to like figure out who the heroes and villains are in the story. And I have no problem saying that. I have no problem. Like, this is where like Martin again is just like beyond. He's failing himself, right? There has to be heroes and villains in the story, or at least there have. What's the other background noise?
That would be Mr. Killet.
Oh, okay. But there has to be some. There's good and evil in this story, and Martin's genius when he lets it happen is that he writes it so well, and he just shows that he just shows that good and evil are difficult, right? They're hard to figure out. and like he seems to not believe in. He seems to not recognize the best parts of his story. That's the thing. Like that's this part where it starts to get really like bizarre and weird.
Yeah, like he doesn't really like he seems bored with Jon and Daenerys,
Which is horrible. Which is like, to be fair, I also hate Daenerys. Well, okay, I don't hate her, but like I get being bored with Daenerys. Like, what's the thing? Like this is another thing. I mean, this is another thing, right? Like this is where we get into my. Oh, okay. Where's that? This is when we get into like one of my favorite theses about the story, and it's that Stannis is a better character than Bran, and that's a huge problem.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no contest. Like Stannis is a much more interesting character than Bran.
He's a more central character.
100%. Yeah, he's more filled with contradictions. Like the fact that he's kind of supposedly honor bound, but he's constantly having sex with Melisandre in defiance of his oath.
I like to joke like that. Like the worst thing Stannis does is cheat on his wife. Because fuck friendly and fuck everyone else. Like I actually will say that. Like I actually believe that sincerely. Like what does he owe? Like what actually does he do that's worse than cheating on his wife? And I think that's very bad. I think infidelity is very bad.
Yeah.
Melisandre's hot though.
Yes, that I suppose when you put it that way, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But
yeah, let's kind of move it back. Should we move it back on track to the Hollywood interview?
Well, that actually bleeds into the one point of, to me, the most alarming part of the interview, which is there was a whole bit where he talks about how he's going to kill Sansa, or he doesn't know what he's going to do with Sansa.
Yes, let me find that.
Yeah, he was going to kill her, but now he might not because she was so popular on the show.
Which is like
really bad in the show.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like first of all, that itself is like bananas. Like Sansa. Who likes Sansa in the show? Who likes Sansa at any point in the show?
Like Stannis, I like her in the books, but in the show,
I love Sansa in the books.
Yeah.
I like Sansa more than Arya. I like Sansa a lot. I think I like her more than Daenerys. I like her like. Again, like my problem with Daenerys is her like place in the narrative more than anything. I think Sansa slots in better. She's a smoother character to deal with.
Yeah, like seems like she's poised to deal with Littlefinger.
Exactly, and more than that, like Sansa, like his points about Sansa are like deeply alarming to me.
Yeah,
because
I found it. I was going to kill more people, not the ones they killed in the show. They made it more of a happy ending. I don't know what you're talking about. That was not a happy ending.
Well, I mean, it was sort of wasn't, was it? I mean, it was happy ending in a very superficial sense for some characters. Although, even the characters it was happy for, like Jon and Arya, will probably never see each other again and stuff. But for Sansa, I guess it was happy. I don't know what happens to her afterwards, but
I mean, Sansa. So the whole. This is where, like, I think I come into disagreement with most people about Sansa, because like Sansa's the general way like Sansa is like supposed to go is that like she like learns how to be a player, right?
Yeah,
which is not how like I can't imagine like the whole point. Like that's like antithetical to what she seems to be actually. What the content of the text is not that. She becomes less naive, but that's inevitable. What she does is the way she beats Cersei and Littlefinger is that she becomes not like them. She refuses to give in to the cynicism that ruined them, right? That's how she beats them. Not by like becoming worse than them. Like that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I can't imagine Martin himself not understanding this is like catastrophic almost. It's nuts to think that he doesn't get this. I can understand like hordes of
I guess it's one of those times where it's like the author himself doesn't really seem to understand his own work.
Yeah. And I have no problem saying things like that.
It can happen. It can happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, you know, unless you're like Rick fucking Worley, yes, unless you think like, no, like I have a real problem with his video. Like it's very rare that I'll unsubscribe from his channel. His video on Woody Allen made me unsubscribe from him. And like, who am I to do that? But like, you know, or what kind of presence do I have? But like, you know, his stuff on Woody Allen, and then like the whole, like, it made everything he was saying about George Lucas really just
gross.
Yeah, it did. And like, well, maybe not gross, because I wouldn't accuse Lucas of things like that, but it's just, yeah, the artists can misunderstand their own work.
Yeah, because like George Lucas clearly doesn't understand his work. Like, he doesn't understand that that Darth Vader is badass, and he just has a weird position on it. He just thinks, the fans are wrong for thinking that Darth Vader is badass, even though you wrote him to be badass.
I think that point gets misunderstood on both sides. I really do think that, because I think and I think the point there is, and this is, you know, this is how I would square the circle, and I think it's very easy to square the circle, is that like the whole point is that Darth Vader is a badass physically, but he's a moral coward. That's the point. Like, that is the point. That's the juxtaposition of his character. That's what makes his character work.
Well, I just mean like when you're supposed to, in his commentary, at least like from my vague recollection, his comment was, when Darth Vader comes up, you're in No Hope, you're supposed to think after watching the prequels that he's this like sad,
yeah, I get that
guy.
Yeah, no, I get that. I understand. I actually don't totally disagree with him when he says that. The point is that like the problem is that it's two different, like, two things can be true at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is pathetic. He is like pathetic is another interesting word to use here, because tragic is too often equated with pitiable. So, and this is, again, I was always reading these Shakespeare lectures. Like tragic doesn't mean pitiable, right? It doesn't mean pathetic. It's debatable how tragic Darth Vader is in this context, because Darth Vader is very pitiable because he makes the wrong choices, and he's a moral coward, right? That is what his problem is. But he's not like a physically weak man. He still looks very scary. Like, and part of the scariness of him is that this is how dangerous he is. By surrendering his moral agency, it allows him to be like this horrifying, like, you know, embodiment of oppression, right? So, you know, that's kind of, I digress. We don't have to talk about Star Wars anymore.
Yeah. So the Gurm on the Winds of Winter is an interesting. He has an interesting couple of remarks there. He does want to finish it, but he doesn't much want to write it.
Oh,
is what I'm getting from there, and that sounds contradictory, but intellectually it is, but emotionally it not necessarily as contradictory as it sounds.
Yeah, let me see. Where is that part of?
I think it's towards the end. I think it's the last section.
Going to kill more people. Talking about how he's going to kill Sansa. Doesn't see a happy ending for Tyrion. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me see. So far behind.
Yeah, we're getting there.
This one.
Yeah. He asked him, does he ever think of giving up and not finishing? And he says, no, I do want to finish. I'd be a failure if I don't finish it. But then he refers to this interview that somebody had with, I think he had with George Herbert. And George Herbert was sick of writing June books, and Gurm says in there, he says, And when what's his name, Jim Hibbert asks, "Do you feel like that?" and he says, "Do you understand that feeling, or do you sympathize with that?" And Gurm says, "I still love the world, but yeah, I do."
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Like, he doesn't seem like he's enamored of the characters anymore. Like, it just seems, and it seems like he's just throwing characters within it in order to help this writing process. Another problem that we kind of see here is just the fact that he, like this bit where he's, like, they've been married, or they've been together for 55 years at this point ish. Like 50 years around, give or take.
He in Paris.
And yeah, and like, he wrote a lot during the pandemic, but it took him away from Paris, and I imagine that he was probably scared. I wonder if Paris, like, he's probably like, I wonder how Paris is doing, and that probably, and it just looked like, as well as, he just doesn't seem like he knows what he wants to do with it either, because like with this bit where he just says, "I can't do this; it will change the whole book. I can make it into a series of dreams." No, doesn't work either.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? He seems to have no coherent endpoint, and that's probably because he won't commit to a coherent, for lack of a better term, moral vision of the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's regrettable. It's not. It's not good. It's just not good.
Yeah, but apparently, like, he's got like 1,000 pages. It's like something that's absurd. Like, the material he has. Just put the dang book out after you edit it.
That's another thing. I mean, like, so hit the crack that, like, you know, he probably resents that Feast and Dance are out, so he can't just keep editing them.
Yeah.
And you know, it is like, I mean, again, like, I hate to just do this, but like, it is like George Lucas. Like at a certain point, the work has to be, you know, done. Like, it's okay. And like, it's okay if it's not perfect. And the other thing is, like, it's okay if it has a happy ending. It's okay if it has like a bleak ending. And I think that's where he's struggling. That to me is the part. This is the part where I do think it's that he's really struggling on this, right? He won't, and that's why the Sansa thing is so damning to me.
Mm-hmm.
He actually can't commit to giving characters a happy ending.
There's
like, it seems.
Yeah, there's actually a pretty good so there's a thing that asks, there's a video, I haven't seen this movie, but I just know the quote. It's called 6 Degrees of Separation, and he sees the artistry done by the
Are you talking? I can't hear you.
I can hear just fine. I can hear you just fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean,
maybe it's something to do with your phone. How's this? That's blaring. Is this working?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello? Yeah, sorry.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Done.
Yeah.
No problem. It's got to be on his hands.
Okay. Well, he is on his phone, so that might be interfering a little bit. It's my understanding. So, yeah. So basically, the question is, like, this art guy. He's asking this second grade teacher why the paintings are so good.
I don't have any secret. I just know when to take their drawings away from them.
And that kind of applies to both Lucas and George too.
Yeah. No, that yes, I get what you're saying. I get what you're driving at now. Yes. Yeah, at a certain point, like, it's done and it's okay. I mean, there's a. He also seems to be trying to chase like the perfect moment for his characters, which I get. And it was really funny because hey man, your ambient noise is pretty intense, which is fine. It's just just letting you know. But
How's that?
that's better. I mean, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but it wasn't because of radio. I couldn't hear it. I just couldn't hear you.
Okay.
Weird. Okay.
But
So
But another
what
thing-
you just said, what all that stuff was that you were showing just now, what all that was. Had to do anything.
Yeah, it's just basically the question that this guy asked a second grade teacher why her students are significantly better than the other students, and she just says, because I know I don't have a secret, I just know when to take their painting away from them.
Oh, okay.
And to a certain extent, you kind of need to. With George R. R. Martin, it just seems as though he's just painting and painting and painting, and it's kind of a massive camouflage. Blotches, and he's just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and just doing weird stuff with it, and he just needs to have it taken away and just say, "Hey, it's fine. Let's just put this out. Just keep writing. Stop doing this."
Yeah, it's good enough. Like, and it is good enough.
Maybe he needs a rigid deadline. Maybe this publishers need to finally say, put their feet down, and say, "Go, kid, enough. Cut it out. We want a book from you by this date. Get it to us by this date, or else we're just going to cut you out."
Yeah, and it's really interesting to me because the Frank Herbert comparison is very amusing to me, because Frank Herbert, I don't know why I Kermited there, but Frank Herbert, Dune was really just Dune and Dune Messiah. And then he kind of like just, because of the success, he just kept writing A Song of Ice and Fire. And, that was always supposed to be a series. And here's how this works, right? The first book in a series is bought on the presumption that there will be later books. So he does, first of all, he does forget like whether he owes it to the art form or anything, although he does owe it to the art form. He also owes it to us. He owes it to the fans. He actually does. He enters into an implicit contract with the fans. That's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So So you don't go with the view that he doesn't owe us anything. That some fans say, yeah.
No, I do not. I know he does actually very much owe us the work. And that he doesn't is like to betray the implicit bonds. Like why should and this is where I feel very I feel for other just people in general, like artists and both authors and readers. How many people have been turned off from reading like how many people have basically said that they're never going to read a series that's in the middle, like that's not complete already, you know what I mean?
That's a fair point, actually.
So and I've known it from people in I've known it from people in my own life. Like it's kind of nuts, and that's on him.
Okay.
And I don't know what to say except like how like what can one do except like he's hurting the media. Like I say this to someone who like loves these books. I do think he's really, really, really making a lot of mistakes.
But he's doing a good job with a lot of things, and that's why we're kind of sad.
Yes. No, I'll maintain very clearly. I do not view these books as nihilistic. I don't view these books as even like detestable. I think if I did, I wouldn't like them. I think these books are very good and even very, like, for lack of a better term, I think they're pretty smart, and I think they're actually pretty moral when you actually like pay attention to what the content of the text is. But he seems to be not able to deliver on their promise because he finds it either artistically unfulfilling or he finds it like almost like morally naive, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, kind of. And he also seems to be like just more depressed as he goes on. And I think especially like he, like, in order to do it, like it said here, he's got to keep away from his wife, who he really loves, and like he's got very limited time with her.
Yeah, all his friends dying on him too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's old. Like, and again, I sympathize with that too. But like, that's on him, right? If he had finished the like, I think there's like who is it? Is it Preston Jacobs who basically like crowdfunded a
Yes.
like an actual wins a winner fan fiction basically?
Yeah, it's a yep, and they're still working on it too. They're like they're actually writing it, even though it's very much it is a fanfic. It's self-admittedly a fanfic, but it's a good fanfic.
Yeah, and like I'm interested in like checking them out because like like if that's the art, that's the art. Like it's okay.
Yeah, I mean it's probably not what Gurm would have written, but then apparently Gurm would not have written anything anyway. So
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
So hey.
Like I can think of like, you can think of like, you can think of different ways to finish different plot lines, even in ways that weren't completely, detestable, right? Or completely out of left field. Like, so one of my favorites is like, so for me, right? Like, again, I always return to Stannis because to me, one of the notable problems Martin seems to have is that Stannis is way more important as a character. Now, forget that he's a better character, like better written. Just in terms of the structure of the narrative, he's a better character, right? It's like, how do you like, so like, and the thing is, he's like the fake hero, right? He and Davos are like super telegraphed as like the guys who think they're the heroes and they're not. But he is.
They kind of are.
But he is. But they are. They're the best characters. They're the best characters. They have like I want to make this very clear. The largest scale heroic actions taking place within the text as it exists belong to Stannis. He's the one who saves the wall from the wildlings. He's the one who is working to liberate the North from the Ironborn and the Boltons. Like, he's the one who makes the most decisive or attempts the most decisive strike against the Lannister regime in the Battle of the Blackwater.
Nice.
He is the only character. He is the only character who fully joins, who embodies simultaneously resistance to the demonic ice demons and to the Lannisters. He's the only character where the story like comes together and like starts to work together, like in a single coherent way. And he's like the fake protagonist, and that's fine. But like, you have no actual protagonist because Daenerys isn't around. Jon Snow's scope is Jon Snow's scope is too limited. Tyrion is a villain, and he is a villain, and he's also completely divorced from the White Walker stuff. And I like Tyrion a lot as a character. Like, Jaime is still a villain and also completely divorced from the White Walker stuff. And it can't be Cersei, obviously. Like, it's supposed to be Bran because he is supposed to become the God King, and he's like that. You could see how that would be defeating the White Walkers and defeating and bringing order to the realm. but like
It's a fascist order.
well, forget morally repugnant for a second. Just forget that for a second. Forget all that crap. And although I agree with that completely, it's also that like he's not doing anything, right? Bran isn't even like he I can't even say that Bran it represents like some kind of evil order because Bran isn't relevant. He's not relevant to the story. He's not doing anything in the story. He's like not a character. I mean, he's a character, but he's not a mover and shaker in the story. It's why I like Varys so much. Actually, it's why I like Aegon. So, it's why I like the Aegon the Sixth thing and Varys so much because it fits in perfectly into the story. Right? Again, not that it has anything to do with the White Walker stuff. If anything, part of Varys, part of the whole point of I'm running a million miles an hour. Part of the whole point of Varys is that he's like divorcing himself from magic, not willfully because obviously he doesn't know about this, but the Aegon the Sixth thing works because Varys works because it's sort of like this encapsulation of Varys' character, and it encapsulates, his perverse and evil relationship with the truth. So, it's all brilliant in that sense. Meanwhile, Bran, who actually has the magic to manipulate people's minds, apparently to do the thing Varys wants, kind of, and institute the medieval utopia, is like he's nothing. He's like doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's super weird.
Yeah, he's just a kid.
Yeah.
But anyway, what else in this interview particularly? I apologize for digressing so much.
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
I think
I
we've
will
kind
have
of we covered quite a few of the major points. A lot of it is basically beef with Ryan Condal, his problems with wins.
Yeah, there's a little bit at the beginning about I have to go soon. In a couple of minutes. There's a little bit at the beginning about the new show, the Duncan Egg show.
Yeah.
A little bit at the beginning about that has a different type of show and stuff, which we know already.
Yeah, it's just it's a much more contained story, and I think that's why it's also Preston actually theorized that it's George R. R. Martin's short story writing style is better. It doesn't really work, and his Gardner style does not work for a long running epic series where he has to commit to it. He has probably where most of his endings are super abrupt, just sudden endings that kind of come out of left field.
It's a fair argument.
And he doesn't have the discipline either. Like Tolkien also was a gardener, but he had the discipline to go back afterwards and edit it for a coherent story.
Yes. It's worth pointing out that Tolkien also compared his writing to gardening. Mm-hmm. He actually did that.
And it is. It's I mean, he didn't know what he was doing when he was writing Lord of the Rings at first. He was like, oh.
So funny. My friend and I are actually preparing to do a read through of it because we've never actually read it, to my eternal shame.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna do like a So yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's just, so that I'm looking forward to that. But it sucks. I kind of know everything in it. I know all the differences and stuff because I'm a fool.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not all about knowing the plot points.
I know, and I'm very much looking forward to reading it. I'm looking forward to
listen. It was funny. My first exposure was actually the animated movies.
Oh no.
And then the BBC radio drama, then the movies when I was 5. And then I read the books when I was a teenager. And then I got the audiobooks and listened to them a couple times.
Yeah, no, I am looking forward to reading them and going through it.
Yeah.
But Martin is, he is like his discipline certainly isn't there for a long running series. His thematic coherency is not there. It sucks because it could be again. That's the worst part. It could be great. It does not have to be this way. But unfortunately, it does. I think that, and I do think that okay, like this is so to be fair, so to be kind of fair to him, kind of, because it's still kind of his fault. There is like he has done like a little too much in some places. I think Dorne is a little bit more than it should be. I think
Dorne is pointless.
I don't think it's entirely pointless, but I think I think
it's a plot cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I think that everything. So Dorne works. Like again, this is where like again he does a good thing and he takes 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Right? Dorne works as part of Varys's plot. I'm not saying Varys is like a huge more. I think Varys is actually I do think Varys is actually one of the hugely important characters in the series, and I like the niche that Varys slots into narratively a lot. But and in that context, Dorne works because Dorne is part of this like attempted Targaryen restoration, like this very like false Targaryen restoration. I'm not saying that in the sense that Aegon is false. I'm saying in the sense that Varys is like trying to like concoct like a narrative, right? He's like it's part of like this utopian project that I sort of see him as a part of. In that context, Dorne works. Where Dorne does not work is in like all the bullshit with Marcella, which thankfully is kind of like it's like literally a dead end, which is
and everything with Arianne, because even though Arianne is like she's not as bad as Cersei, but she's got a lot of similar character problems.
Yeah, she's
really dumb.
She's not
like
smart.
She's not as smart as she thinks she is.
It's not like Brienne, where her going nowhere like.
Okay, now I can't hear anything. Okay. Sorry, I gotta run. Sorry, didn't mean to be so abrupt. I gotta run though.
Yeah. Okay, no worries. We'll finish this up. Don't worry. Thank you for staying for so long. I do appreciate it.
Don't mention it. I couldn't possibly. Not in the least. I wouldn't dream of it.
Oh, I do need to get going as well for family dinner. So
I'm happy we've gotten everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that we've gotten everything taken care of. So I think that we'll stop there. Thanks everybody for coming. Bye.
Have a riot.
Bye.